I was sitting in my brand new downtown condo, scrolling through Instagram on a quiet Tuesday evening, when I saw it. My cousin Bridget had posted a photo of my living room with the caption, "Goals. Some people really made it." Within 30 minutes, my phone exploded with messages from parents I hadn't heard from in 4 years. Mom's text popped up first. "Sweetheart, we need to talk about something urgent. Family emergency. $39,000. Your father's medical bills." I stared at the screen, remembering my college graduation day when they didn't show up because my golden child brother Derek needed help moving apartments. The audacity was absolutely breathtaking. Before we dive into how this family drama unfolded, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Are you team set boundaries or team family first, no matter what? Drop your location and your take in the comments. And if you've ever dealt with family members who only remember you exist when they need something, hit that like button because you're going to want to see how this plays out. Subscribe and turn on notifications because this story has more twists than a pretzel factory. Trust me, you won't believe what my parents tried next. Let me take you back so you understand just how deep this pattern runs. I'm Hazel, 28 years old, and I grew up as the middle child in what looked like a perfect family from the outside. My older brother Derek was 3 years ahead of me, the star athlete, charismatic, the kind of kid who made friends just by walking into a room. My younger sister Autumn came 2 years after me, artistic and emotional. What my parents always called their sensitive soul who needed constant attention and careful handling. Then there was me, the invisible one. The one who got straight A's that were met with, "That's what we expect from you, Hazel." No celebration, no pride, just expectation. Every achievement Derek earned came with family dinners, social media posts from my mom gushing about her amazing son, gifts and praise heaped on him like confetti. Autumn's art projects covered the refrigerator, her every emotional need treated like a 5-alarm emergency that required family meetings and therapy sessions and endless patience. I still remember being 12 years old, standing on stage at the state science fair, holding my first place trophy. I'd spent 3 months on that project, testing water quality from different sources around our city, creating detailed charts and presentations. When they announced my name as the winner, I looked out into the audience searching for my parents' faces. They weren't there. They were at Derek's basketball practice because, as my mom explained later, he really needed our support, and "You're so independent, honey. We knew you'd be fine either way." I found that trophy 6 months later, in a box-marked garage sale in our basement. That's when I started to understand my place in the family hierarchy. At 15, I received early acceptance to a prestigious summer program at Stanford University. It was a competitive science and technology camp that accepted only 50 students nationwide. The cost was $2,800. I was so excited, I could barely contain myself when I showed my parents the acceptance letter. My dad barely looked up from his newspaper. My mom said, "Oh, sweetie, that's a lot of money. We'll have to think about it." They never brought it up again. The deadline passed. I missed the opportunity. That same month, I watched them write a check for $4,500 to send Autumn to an intensive art therapy program because she was having what my mother called a creative crisis. She'd gotten a B+ on an art project and cried for 3 days. My 16th birthday was the day I realized I was truly invisible. I woke up excited, expecting at least a card or acknowledgement at breakfast. Instead, I came downstairs to find my entire house decorated with streamers and balloons. For a moment, my heart lifted. Then I saw the banner, "Congratulations, Sarah." Sarah was Derek's girlfriend. My parents were throwing her a surprise party that afternoon because she'd gotten accepted to college. When I quietly mentioned that it was actually my birthday, my mom patted my hand and said, "Oh, honey, you understand, right? You're so mature and independent." Sarah's party was already planned, and you know how important it is to Derek that we support his relationships. I spent my 16th birthday serving cake to my brother's girlfriend's friends. The college application process was something I navigated entirely alone. Junior year, while my parents had taken Derek on tours of 12 different universities the year before, staying in hotels and making whole weekends out of campus visits, I sat in my bedroom researching schools on my laptop. I wrote every essay myself. I requested my own transcripts. I filled out financial aid forms by teaching myself how they worked. When the acceptance letters started arriving, I'd open them alone in my room. Got into University of Michigan with a full academic scholarship. Got into Northwestern. Got into Boston University. Each one felt like a hollow victory because there was nobody to share it with. My parents' reactions were always the same. "That's wonderful, dear," followed immediately by pivoting the conversation to Derek's job prospects or Autumn's latest emotional crisis. Senior year, I received the news that would change my life. Full scholarship to University of Michigan, not partial, full. 4 years, room and board, everything. It was worth over $200,000 that my parents wouldn't have to pay. I saved them a fortune. When I told them at dinner, my dad said, "That's great, Hazel. Very responsible of you." Then he turned to Derek and spent the next 45 minutes discussing whether Derek should take a job in marketing or sales. That night I decided something fundamental. I would build a life without them, not out of spite, but out of survival. I couldn't keep hoping for crumbs of attention that would never come. Graduation day was supposed to be different. I'd worked 4 years for this moment. Summa cum laude, honors in biology, 3 research publications to my name, already accepted to a top graduate program with full funding. I had 2 tickets for my parents. I texted them the details 3 times, called twice to confirm. They assured me they'd be there. The morning of graduation, my phone rang at 6 a.m. It was my mom. "Sweetie, I'm so sorry, but Derek needs help moving to his new apartment today. He has to be out of his old place by 5 p.m. And you know how your father's back is. He really needs both of us there to help lift things. You understand, right? You're so capable. You'll be fine. We're so proud of you." I sat in that arena surrounded by thousands of families celebrating, watching parents hug their graduates and cry proud tears, and I was completely alone. I took an Uber home with my diploma in my lap. That night, I made a promise to myself. I would succeed so tremendously that my absence from their lives would be as loud as my presence had been quiet. And I kept that promise. Over the next 4 years, I built a life they knew nothing about. Got my graduate degree. Landed a job at a top tech company. Worked my way up to senior analyst. Saved aggressively. Invested smartly. And 4 years after graduation, I bought my condo. Not with their help. Not with their guidance. With money I earned from a career I built while they forgot I existed. I didn't invite them to my housewarming party, didn't send them my new address, maintained a polite distance when Autumn occasionally texted about her latest drama. In 4 years, my parents never once called to ask how I was doing, where I was living, or whether I was even alive. They didn't notice my absence because I'd always been absent to them. Then Bridget came to visit. She's my mom's niece, a sweet girl who'd always been kind to me. We had a nice evening. I showed her around my place. We drank wine and caught up. I didn't think anything of it when she took photos. She's a photographer, always documenting life. But I never expected her to post them publicly, and I definitely never expected what came next. That Tuesday evening, there it was on Instagram. 6 beautiful photos of my living room, my kitchen with its marble countertops, my bedroom with the city view. The geotag showed my upscale downtown neighborhood. The caption, "Family goals. Some people really made it. So proud of my cousin Hazel," followed by a string of heart emojis and the hashtag blessed. Within an hour, the comments filled with extended family members. "Congratulations. Wow, stunning. Look at her success." I felt exposed, like someone had thrown open curtains I'd carefully kept closed. But I figured it would blow over, just some family chatter. Then my phone started buzzing, and buzzing, and buzzing. The messages came rapid fire. First from my mom's number, which I'd kept in my phone but had listed under Do Not Answer. The notification previews told the story before I even opened them. Message 1. Sweetheart, we need to talk. Important family matter. Message 2. It's about your father's health. Very serious situation. Message 3. We saw you're doing so well. The condo looks beautiful. So proud of you. But we need urgent help with something. Message 4. Why aren't you responding? After everything we've done for you, call your mother immediately. Then my dad's number, which I also still had saved. His message was characteristically brief. Your mother is very upset. Call her. Now. Derek's text came next. Hey, parents need money. You should help. Family is family. I sat there on my couch, the same couch featured in Bridget's photos, and felt something cold settle in my stomach. 4 years of silence. 4 years of not checking if I was alive, employed, homeless, married, dying. 4 years of nothing. And now, because of some Instagram photos, suddenly I was family again. I made a strategic decision. If I was going to have this conversation, I needed a witness. I called my best friend Riley and asked her to come over immediately. When she arrived 20 minutes later, I explained the situation. Her face went from confused to outraged in about 30 seconds. You're going to call them on speaker, she said. It wasn't a question, and I'm going to be here to verify whatever manipulation they try. I called my mom back. She answered on the first ring. Hazel, finally! I've been trying to reach you for hours. I was busy, Mom. What's going on? It's your father. Her voice took on that dramatic tone I remembered from childhood, the one she used when she wanted something. He's very sick, sweetheart. He needs a medical procedure. It's serious. What kind of procedure? It's complicated, honey. Very technical. A spinal treatment. The doctors say it's critical. Which doctors? What hospital? There was a pause. We're still deciding between facilities. You know how it is with these specialists. Red flag number 1. Riley's eyebrows shot up. Mom, if it's critical, wouldn't you already have it scheduled? What's the diagnosis exactly? It's his spine, like I said. Years of strain. You know how hard your father works. The pain has been unbearable. I'm sorry to hear that. So what do you need from me? Here it came. I could hear her take a breath, preparing for the ask. The procedure costs $39,000. Our insurance won't cover it all. It's experimental, but it's his only option. And sweetie, we saw your beautiful condo. We know you're doing well, and we need you to help us. We need you to pay for your father's surgery. Riley's mouth actually dropped open. $39,000. Demanded, not asked. Based on Instagram photos. That's a lot of money, Mom. I'd need to see documentation. The hospital name, the doctor's contact information, procedure details, insurance explanation of benefits. Excuse me? My mother's voice went sharp. Are you seriously questioning your father's health crisis right now? I'm not questioning his health. I'm asking for basic information about a major medical procedure before I hand over $40,000. 39,000, she corrected, as if the specific number mattered. And I cannot believe you're being so cold about this. Your father is in pain and you're playing detective? My dad's voice came on the line. They had me on speakerphone. Hazel, I'm disappointed. Truly disappointed. We raised you better than this. Something in me snapped. You raised me? When? Between forgetting my existence and missing my graduation? That's not fair, my mother cut in. We've always been there for you. Name one time in the last 4 years you've called me. Silence. Name one birthday you've remembered. More silence. You didn't even know where I lived until Bridget posted those photos. You have no idea what I do for a living, who I date, whether I'm happy or miserable. But now you see I have a nice place and suddenly you need exactly $39,000? How dare you? My mother was yelling now. After we fed you, clothed you, kept a roof over your head for 18 years. This is how you repay us? Riley grabbed my hand, squeezed it. Supportive. Mom, I'm happy to help with a legitimate medical emergency. Send me the hospital contact information and I'll call them directly to arrange payment. I'll speak to the doctor myself. That's not how it works. Mom's voice had gone shrill. We need the money up front. They want cash payment before they'll schedule the procedure. Red flag number 2. Hospitals don't work that way. Even for experimental treatments, there are payment plans, financing options, ways to work with insurance. The demand for cash up front, the vague details, the refusal to provide documentation, it all screamed scam. I'll call you back in 48 hours. Send me the information I requested in that time. Hazel Marie, don't you dare hang up on your father when he's sick. Send me the documentation. Doctor's name, hospital, procedure details. 48 hours. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Riley immediately wrapped me in a hug. That was brutal. But you handled it perfectly. My phone started buzzing again immediately. Text from Derek. Wow. Really? They just need help and you're playing detective? I thought you were better than this. Text from my mom. You've changed. Money has changed you. You're not the daughter we raised. Text from my dad. This is what we get for all our sacrifices. I turned my phone face down and looked at Riley. I need to investigate this before they guilt-trip me into draining my savings. Agreed. Something smells very wrong here. Over the next hour, Riley and I mapped out a plan. We'd verify every detail they'd given me, dig into their social media, reach out to family members who might know the truth, because my gut was telling me what my heart didn't want to believe. There was no medical emergency. This was something else entirely. I started with the obvious, social media. My parents had never bothered to block me on Facebook because they'd never considered I'd be paying attention. After all, I'd been invisible for so long, why would I suddenly matter enough to worry about? My dad's profile told an interesting story. His most recent post, from 3 days ago, showed him holding up a massive fish with a huge grin on his face. Caption: Caught this beauty at Lake Henderson. Blessed life, healthy body, good friends. Life doesn't get better. 27 likes. Multiple comments from his buddies congratulating him. I scrolled back further. 2 weeks ago, photos from a golf outing. He was mid-swing, looking vigorous and pain-free. Caption: Shot an 82 today. Personal best this year. 1 week before that, a check-in at an upscale steakhouse with my mom. The week before that, photos of a new truck he'd apparently bought. A nice truck. Expensive. Not a single mention of pain, doctor visits, medical concerns, or health issues. For someone apparently in need of a critical $39,000 spinal surgery, my dad looked remarkably healthy and active. My mom's Facebook was equally revealing. Her recent posts focused on her garden, book club meetings, and planning for something she called our exciting new adventure. 3 days ago, she'd posted, "Feeling so blessed for this healthy life and the new chapter we're about to start." New chapter? What new chapter? Most damning of all was a post from exactly 1 week ago. Praise God for good health and the energy to enjoy life. Counting our blessings today. Complete with a selfie of her and my dad looking tanned and happy. I screenshotted everything and sent it to Riley. Her response came immediately. "Your dad doesn't look like someone who needs emergency spinal surgery." Next, I texted Autumn. My sister and I weren't close, but she usually responded eventually, especially if drama was involved. I kept my message casual. "Hey, how's Dad's health? Mom mentioned something about surgery?" 6 hours later, her response came. "What surgery? Dad's fine? Why? What's going on?" There it was. Autumn, who still lived in the same city as our parents, who saw them regularly, had no idea about any medical emergency. I texted back. "Mom said he needs a serious spinal procedure. Has he seemed sick lately?" Autumn. "No? He literally just posted about a fishing tournament. He was helping me move furniture last weekend. His back seemed fine. What's happening?" So the story wasn't being told to everyone, just to me. The one with the nice condo in the Instagram photos. My next call was to Bridget. I needed to handle this delicately because she'd innocently triggered this whole situation. "Hey Bridget, I wanted to ask a favor. Could you take down those photos of my place?" "Oh, sure. I'm so sorry, I should have asked first. I just thought they were so beautiful and I was proud to show off how well you're doing." "Is everything okay?" "It's fine. But while I have you, did my mom happen to call you recently?" There was a pause. "That's weird that you ask." "Yeah, she called me 2 days ago. She was asking all these questions about your job, your salary, how you afforded the condo." I thought she was just being a proud parent, but the way she was digging for financial information felt strange. She asked me 3 times what you do for a living and whether you mentioned your salary. I didn't tell her anything specific because it felt invasive. My stomach dropped. Did she say why she was asking? She said something like, "I just want to make sure my baby is secure, but it didn't feel motherly, you know. It felt like reconnaissance." Reconnaissance. Perfect word. My mother had been gathering intelligence on my financial situation before making her move. "Thanks for telling me, Bridget, and thanks for not sharing details." "Of course." "Hazel, is something wrong?" I debated how much to share. Let's just say my parents suddenly remembered I exist, and it's not for heartwarming reasons. I'll fill you in later. After I hung up, I called Aunt Patricia. She was my dad's sister, and the only family member who'd consistently been kind to me growing up. She'd noticed when my parents missed my graduation, had sent me a card and check to congratulate me, and we'd kept in loose touch over the years. "Hazel, what a nice surprise. I saw Bridget's photos of your place. Absolutely stunning, honey. You should be so proud." "Thanks, Aunt Patricia. Quick question for you. Have you heard anything about my dad having health problems?" "Health problems? No. Why? Is he okay?" "Mom told me he needs a $39,000 surgery. Emergency spinal procedure." Aunt Patricia went quiet. Then, "Hazel, I had lunch with your father last week. He seemed perfectly healthy. We walked around the botanical gardens for 2 hours, and he never mentioned any pain. And honey, I have to tell you something. Your parents just bought a timeshare in Florida last month. They've been bragging about it to everyone. There it was. The missing piece. How much does a timeshare cost? From what I understand, theirs was around $35,000. $35,000. And they needed $39,000 from me. The math was adding up to a very ugly picture. Aunt Patricia, if they ask you for money, don't give it to them. Something very wrong is going on. Oh, honey, I figured that out years ago. Your mother has a pattern of overspending and then creating crises. I stopped loaning them money after the third time they never paid me back. This was news to me. They borrowed from you before? Twice. $5,000 the first time for what she said was an emergency car repair. Their car was fine. $8,000 the second time for what she said was emergency dental work. Never saw a penny back. I love your father, he's my brother, but your mother has him wrapped around her finger when it comes to money. We talked for another 20 minutes. Aunt Patricia filled me in on years of family financial drama I'd been too invisible to notice. Apparently, my parents had a pattern of living beyond their means and then guilt-tripping family members into bailing them out. By the time I hung up, I had enough information to confront them. But I wanted one more piece of evidence. I called them back and told Riley to record the conversation on her phone. My dad answered. Hazel, have you made your decision? I have some questions first. You said the hospital is where? A pause. Clearwater Medical Center. Clearwater. That's in Florida, where their new timeshare was. And the doctor's name? Dr. Stevens. Dr. John Stevens. I'll call the hospital directly tomorrow to arrange payment. No! My mom's voice jumped in. She was on speaker again. That's not how this works. We need the money in cash so we can pay them up front. They won't deal with third parties. Red flag number 3. No legitimate hospital operates that way. Mom, if this is a real medical procedure, the hospital will have billing procedures. I can pay them directly. You're impossible, she was yelling now. Your father is in pain and you're being deliberately difficult. We need that money by the end of the week. Send me the documentation I asked for. Hospital contact, doctor credentials, procedure details. If you can't provide that, I can't help. My mom hung up on me. 3 minutes later, Derek called. What is wrong with you? Just give them the money. Derek, did you know Dad supposedly needs emergency surgery? Yeah, Mom told me about it. And did she ask you for money? Silence. That's different. I don't have your resources. Did she ask you for any money? Even $1,000? More silence. She said you'd be handling it since you're doing so well. So she looked at Instagram photos and decided I owe them $40,000 for a surgery that no one else in the family has heard about, that Dad never mentioned to Aunt Patricia last week when they spent 2 hours walking around gardens together, and that requires cash payment up front with no hospital documentation? I could actually hear Derek processing this. When you say it like that. When I say it truthfully, you mean. Derek, they bought a timeshare last month for $35,000. Now they suddenly need $39,000 from me. How do you know about the timeshare? Aunt Patricia told me. Apparently they've been bragging about it to everyone. Everyone except me, because they didn't talk to me until they needed money. Derek went quiet. I could hear him breathing, thinking, finally, I need to go. He hung up. I looked at Riley, who'd been listening to my end of all these conversations. Your family is a nightmare, she said. I know, but now I have proof. The next 48 hours were a master class in family manipulation. It started with the extended family members, people I barely knew, suddenly reaching out with messages that all had the same coached quality to them. Aunt Linda, my mom's sister, sent a long text. Hazel, I know you and your parents have had your differences, but family helps family. Your parents are too proud to beg, but they really need you right now. Your father's health is at stake. You have the means. Please don't let pride stand in the way of helping your own father. Uncle Frank, my dad's brother, called and left a voicemail. Hazel, it's Uncle Frank. Your mother called me very upset. I always thought you were a good kid. Don't prove me wrong now. Family takes care of family. That's how we were raised. Your parents need you. Then my grandmother, my dad's mother, left a voicemail that made my blood boil. Hazel, this is your grandmother. I'm very disappointed in you. In my day, children honored their parents and helped without question. $39,000 is nothing compared to what your parents gave you. They gave you life. They raised you. You owe them this. I waited until all three had reached out, then responded systematically. To Aunt Linda. I offered to pay the hospital directly. They refused. Can you explain why they'd refuse direct payment if this is a real medical emergency? To Uncle Frank. Did they ask you for money too? Or just me? To grandmother. Which specific medical condition is Dad being treated for? Since you seem to know all about it, maybe you can give me the details my parents won't provide. Aunt Linda never responded. Uncle Frank went silent. Grandmother called back sputtering but couldn't answer my question. Then my mother took it public. She posted on Facebook, and I only found out because Bridget sent me a screenshot. Heartbroken when your own children forget where they came from. We sacrificed everything to give them good lives, and this is how we're repaid. Praying for guidance and for hardened hearts to soften. Some people let success change them into strangers. The post got 43 likes, multiple comments from family friends who had no context. Sending prayers. So sorry you're going through this. Kids these days forget what matters. Several extended family members shared it to their own pages. I noticed she didn't tag me, because even in her public guilt trip, I was invisible enough not to warrant a direct mention. Derek called again. This time his tone was different. He sounded tired. Hazel, I'm at Mom and Dad's house. They have me on speaker, and they want to talk to you. Put them on then. My mother's voice came through, sugary sweet with an edge of steel. Sweetheart, this has gone on long enough. You're tearing this family apart over money. Something inside me cracked. I'm tearing it apart? Where were you at my graduation, Mom? That was years ago. You need to let that go. You let it go. You're the one who chose Derek's moving day over my once-in-a-lifetime event. You chose. Like you always chose. Derek got attention. Autumn got attention. I got forgotten. Until I have something you want. That's not true. But her voice wavered. Name one time in 4 years you've called just to see how I am. Silence on the line. You can't, can you? Because you didn't. I could have been dead and you wouldn't have known until someone told you. But $39,000 suddenly makes me family again? Derek's voice cut in, and he actually sounded conflicted. Hazel, maybe you're right about some things, but they still need help. No, Derek. They need a bailout for a luxury purchase they couldn't afford. There's a difference. I hung up before anyone could respond. My hands were shaking. Riley, who'd stayed with me through this whole ordeal, hugged me tight. You're doing the right thing, she said. But it didn't feel right. It felt like ripping off a bandage that had been stuck to a wound for 28 years. The flying monkeys kept coming. Cousin Marcus, Derek's friend, posted a vague status on Facebook. Can't believe people abandon their own family in a medical crisis. Money really does change people. Sad to see. Autumn called me crying. Everyone's talking about you being selfish. What's happening? Why won't you help Dad? I spent an hour on the phone with her, explaining everything. The timeline, the evidence, the timeshare, the inconsistencies. When I finished, Autumn went quiet. "This is so like them," she finally whispered. "They did something similar to me 2 years ago. Told me they needed $5,000 for a family emergency, guilted me into giving it to them. Then I found out later they used it for a cruise. Why didn't you tell me? You weren't around. And I thought I was the only one. I thought it was my fault somehow." We talked for another hour. For the first time in our adult lives, Autumn and I actually connected. She apologized for not seeing how invisible our parents had made me. I apologized for distancing myself so completely that she'd felt alone too. "I'm not giving them the money," I told her. "Good," she said. "Don't. They need to face consequences for once." Meanwhile, I kept investigating. I found public records showing my parents had refinanced their house 8 months ago and pulled $60,000 in equity. I found my dad's LinkedIn where he'd been actively posting business content with no mention of health issues. I discovered my mom's Pinterest board titled Dream Kitchen Renovation with a budget of $40,000 saved. Then Bridget sent me the smoking gun. A screenshot of a message my mom had sent her. "We're in a bit of a bind. We bought a timeshare in Florida, and it cost more than we expected. We're hoping Hazel will help us cover the difference since she's doing so well. She owes us that much after everything we've done for her." There it was, in writing. Not a medical emergency, a financial bailout for buyer's remorse on a luxury purchase. I created a family group chat. Added my parents, Derek, Autumn, and Aunt Patricia. Then I started typing. "Dad, I'm so sorry about your medical condition. Which one is it exactly? The spinal issue you mentioned? Because I called Clearwater Medical Center. No Dr. John Stevens practices there. No appointment is scheduled under your name. But I did find public records of a $35,000 timeshare purchase in Clearwater last month. Interesting coincidence, don't you think?" I attached screenshots of everything. The timeshare records, Dad's healthy fishing photos, Mom's blessed life posts, Bridget's message, all of it. "I'm happy to help with genuine medical emergencies. But I won't fund your buyer's remorse. Don't contact me again unless you're ready to tell the truth and apologize." The explosion was immediate. "Mom, how dare you? This is private family business. You've humiliated us." "Dad, you've crossed a line, Hazel. A serious line." Derek, "This didn't need to be public. You're making everything worse." Aunt Patricia, "I'm proud of you, Hazel. The truth needed to come out." Autumn, "Wait. You lied about a medical emergency?" Mom, Dad, that's really low. My phone started ringing. It was my mother. I let it ring to voicemail. She left a screaming message. "You are no longer my daughter. Do you hear me? You're cut off. Don't expect to be invited to any family events. We're done with you." I texted back. "I wasn't invited to family events anyway. Haven't been for 4 years. This changes nothing for me. But it exposes everything about you." Then I blocked both their numbers. I felt lighter than I had in years. The family split happened fast. Within 24 hours of my group text exposing the truth, clear camps had formed. Team parents consisted of the usual suspects. Aunt Linda, who'd always enabled my mom's behavior, Uncle Frank with his outdated respect your elders no matter what mentality, my grandmother who believed family loyalty trumped honesty, Derek who was defending his golden child position, and cousin Marcus who seemed incapable of independent thought. Team Hazel was smaller but fierce. Aunt Patricia, who'd been the black sheep herself and recognized the patterns. Autumn, who was finally seeing the family dynamics clearly, Bridget, who felt guilty about the photos, and Uncle Jerome, my mom's brother who I barely knew, but who reached out with his own story of being financially manipulated by my mother years ago. The rest of the extended family went strategically silent, unwilling to wade into the drama. My mother tried to control the narrative with a new Facebook post. When children abandon elderly parents in medical need, it breaks your heart. We sacrificed everything for our kids. We gave them life, provided everything they needed, and this is how we're repaid. Some people forget that money isn't everything. Family should come first. Derek shared it with his own addition. Some people forget where they came from and what really matters in life. I didn't respond publicly. I'd learned that engaging in social media battles only gave them ammunition. But other people started noticing the inconsistencies. A family friend commented on my mom's post. "Wait, didn't I just see Tom at the country club last week, looking completely healthy?" Another. "Elderly? Tom, you're only 56 and you just posted about shooting your best golf game." Someone else. "Medical need? But you both looked perfectly fine at church Sunday. And didn't you just buy that timeshare in Florida?" My mom started deleting comments frantically. Within an hour, she deleted the entire post. Autumn called me that evening. "I've been thinking a lot about how they treated you growing up. I was so focused on my own stuff, getting their attention for my art and my feelings, that I didn't see how completely they ignored you." "You were a kid too," I said. "It wasn't your job to fix their parenting. But I'm not a kid anymore. I'm 26. And I'm starting to see the patterns. They paid for my art school $80,000, and they've held it over my head ever since. Every time I set a boundary, every time I disagree with them, it ends with, 'We paid for your education. This is how you repay us?' They use money as control. I know. That's why I paid my own way. Scholarships, jobs, loans, I paid off myself. I couldn't let them have that leverage." "You were smarter than me," Autumn said quietly. "I took the money and now I'm trapped. They threaten to call in the loan whenever I don't do what they want." We talked for 2 hours. She shared stories I'd never heard. Times they'd manipulated her emotions, used financial pressure to control her choices, made her feel guilty for having needs. We realized we'd both been victims of the same toxic patterns, just in different ways. I was the scapegoat, forgotten and dismissed. She was the identified patient, constantly in crisis and therefore controllable. Derek, as the golden child, lived in his own prison. Everything he did was measured against their investment in him. Uncle Jerome's email arrived the next morning. I'd never been close to him, mostly because my mom rarely spoke to him. Now I understood why. "Dear Hazel, your Aunt Patricia told me what happened. I'm reaching out because you need to know you're not alone, and you're not wrong. Your mother, my sister, did something very similar to me 12 years ago. She convinced me that our mother needed an expensive medical procedure, guilted me into giving her $15,000, and turned the entire family against me when I later discovered the money had gone to remodel their kitchen. We've been estranged ever since. She has a pattern. She sees someone with money, manufactures a crisis, and then attacks viciously when refused. It won't stop with this. She'll try again, maybe with a different story, maybe in a few months or years, but she'll try. I wanted you to know that holding your boundary is the right choice. I wish I'd had your courage when it happened to me. You're not alone, Jerome." I sat reading his email 3 times, feeling validated and sad at the same time. My mother had been doing this for years, to multiple people. This was who she was. Riley came over that evening with wine and takeout. "How are you holding up?" "Honestly, I'm okay. Weirdly okay. Like, I thought exposing them would feel triumphant or satisfying. Instead, it just feels sad. Sad how? I spent my whole life wanting them to see me, to love me, not for what I could do for them or give them, just me. And now I know for certain they're not capable of that. That's grief, Riley said. You're grieving the parents you deserved but never had. She was right. I was grieving. Not for the relationship I'd lost, but for the one I'd never had in the first place. Bridget messaged me that evening. Your mom has called me 6 times since you posted the evidence. She wants me to say you were lying about the timeshare, that I misunderstood her message. She's offering to pay me to delete the screenshot and say you made it all up. I told her no. I'm so sorry I started this mess with those photos. You didn't start anything, I told her. You just revealed what was already there. My therapist, who I'd started seeing a month earlier for unrelated stress, had a field day with all this. This is textbook financial abuse combined with emotional neglect and scapegoating. You were the forgotten child until you had something they wanted. Then suddenly, you were supposed to perform gratitude for a childhood of neglect. So I'm not crazy for cutting them off? You'd be crazy not to. Hazel, healthy parents don't demand $40,000 based on Instagram photos. Healthy parents don't lie about medical emergencies. Healthy parents don't forget their child exists for 4 years. I kept all the documentation, every text, every email, every voicemail, not because I planned to do anything with it, but because I knew myself well enough to know there would be days I'd doubt my decision, days I'd wonder if I'd been too harsh, too unforgiving, too cold. On those days, I'd need the evidence to remind myself of the truth. Derek's girlfriend Sarah reached out unexpectedly. She and I had never really talked much, but her message was kind. I've been with Derek for 2 years. I've seen how differently your parents treat you versus him. I didn't realize it was this bad, this systemic. I wanted you to know that I see it. I've also seen how much pressure they put on Derek, how they use his golden child status as a burden. They constantly remind him of everything they invested in him, like he owes them a return on their investment. He's not really mad at you. He's mad that he can't escape either. That doesn't excuse him enabling them. But I wanted you to understand. It was generous of her to reach out. It helped me see Derek not as the enemy, but as another damaged person in a damaged system. Aunt Patricia did some more digging. She talked to my grandmother, pieced together financial information, and discovered my parents had $120,000 in savings. The timeshare had cost them $35,000, bringing them down to $85,000. They'd wanted to replenish their savings to $120,000 and have a buffer. They saw me as an easy mark because, in their minds, I owed them. They'd never needed the money for survival. This was pure entitlement. I wrote in my journal that night. They didn't forget I existed. They just never saw me as a whole person, only as a role. The self-sufficient one who doesn't need attention. Until they needed something. Then I was supposed to perform gratitude for a childhood of neglect. By refusing, I claimed independence they never gave permission for. The next morning, I woke up feeling something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. Not happiness exactly, but peace. The kind that comes from knowing you've told the truth and held your ground even when everyone tried to make you bend. My phone had 17 new messages from various family members. I deleted them without reading. I was done explaining myself. 6 weeks passed in relative silence. I'd blocked my parents' numbers, unfollowed them on social media, and settled into the peace of their absence. Autumn and I had started having weekly video calls. Derek had gone quiet, probably processing everything. Aunt Patricia checked in regularly to make sure I was okay. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Your father collapsed. He's in the hospital. Critical condition. You need to come now. It was my mother, texting from someone else's phone. I screenshotted it immediately and called Autumn. Did Dad collapse? What? No? He literally just posted about a barbecue he's hosting this weekend. Why? I sent her the screenshot. Mom's escalating the lies. Oh my God, that's sick. Hazel, be careful. She's getting desperate. I blocked the new number and didn't respond. If my dad was actually in the hospital, other family members would have reached out. The fact that only my mom was claiming this told me everything. 2 days later, Aunt Patricia called. Hazel, your grandmother is planning a family meeting at her house. She asked me to invite you. The agenda is supposedly to work things out, but I think it's really an ambush to pressure you into apologizing and paying them. Tell her I'll attend if it's mediated by a neutral third party and recorded for everyone's protection. That's smart, I'll tell her. 2 hours later, Aunt Patricia called back laughing. She canceled the meeting, said your conditions were disrespectful, which means I was right. They wanted an emotion-based guilt fest, not a fact-based discussion. The next morning, my work receptionist called my desk. Hazel, your brother is here to see you. My stomach dropped. Derek had never come to my workplace. Tell security I don't want to see him and ask him to leave. 5 minutes later, my boss Christine came to my desk. Security had to escort your brother out. He caused a scene in the lobby, saying you can't refuse to see your own brother. Are you safe? Do we need to file a report? I'm safe. It's a family dispute. I'm sorry he brought it here. Don't apologize. Your personal life is yours. But document this in case there's a pattern. Derek texted me immediately. You had me removed by security? Seriously? I responded. You showed up at my workplace uninvited after I've made clear I need space. What did you expect? I expected you to act like family. Family respects boundaries. You don't get to ambush me at work. He didn't respond again. That evening, Bridget sent me another screenshot. This time from a family email chain I wasn't included on. My mom had written, we wanted to help Hazel with the down payment for her condo, but she's too proud to accept family help. Now she won't even accept our gift of $39,000. Pride comes before a fall. The narrative had completely flipped. Now they were claiming they tried to give me money and I refused. It was such a blatant lie that I almost laughed. Aunt Patricia responded in the email chain. Strange. Hazel bought her condo 9 months ago with her own money. Why would you offer help now? My mom didn't respond to that. But the character assassination continued. Derek posted on social media, sometimes people change and not for the better. Success and money reveal true character. My mom commented, so true. We raised her better than this. My dad commented, disappointed but not surprised. It was a coordinated attack on my character. Friends started asking me what was happening. I stayed silent publicly, refusing to engage in social media warfare. But privately, I was documenting everything. Autumn called me upset. They're threatening to cut me off financially if I stay in contact with you. They said I have to choose sides. Autumn, I understand if you need to protect yourself. I don't blame you. No. Her voice was firm. I'm done. I choose you. They can't control me with money anymore. I'm 26 years old. If they want to cut me off, let them. I'll figure it out. This was huge. Autumn had never stood up to them before. Are you sure? I'm sure. I've been thinking about what you said, about how they held the art school money over you. They do the same to me, every single day. We paid for your education. We paid for your therapy. We paid for your life. I'm done being controlled by debt disguised as love. We talked for an hour about her finances, how she could become fully independent, what resources were available. By the end of the call, she had a plan. I was so proud of her. The work impact attempt came next. Somehow, my mother found my boss's LinkedIn and sent her a message. Christine showed it to me. Hello, I'm Hazel's mother. I'm concerned about her mental health and decision-making lately. She's been acting erratically and I'm worried it might affect her work. Has her performance been impacted? As her mother, I felt you should know. Christine's response was perfect. Hazel's professional life is none of your concern. Do not contact me again, or I will report this as harassment. Then Christine turned to me. Document this. Your mother is trying to sabotage your career. That's harassment. If she contacts me again, we're involving HR and possibly legal. I was shaking. They were trying to destroy my reputation everywhere, not just in the family, at work too. The false wellness check was the final straw. I was home on a Saturday evening when there was a loud knock on my door. I checked my Ring camera and saw 2 police officers. My heart racing, I opened the door. Can I help you? We received a call requesting a welfare check at this address. Concerned family members said you might be in danger or having a mental health crisis. I stayed calm. I'm perfectly fine, as you can see. No crisis, no danger. This is a family dispute where my parents are harassing me because I refuse to give them money. The officers looked at each other. The older one said, "Yeah, this seems like a family issue, misusing emergency services. We'll note in our report that you're clearly safe and this appears to be harassment. If they call again, they could face charges for false reporting." After they left, I sat on my couch shaking. My parents had called the police on me, weaponized emergency services to harass me. That's when I knew I needed legal help. I found a lawyer specializing in family harassment cases and brought all my documentation, every text, every email, the timeline, the false wellness check report, everything. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Miss Rodriguez, looked through everything and said, "This is clear-cut harassment. You could pursue a restraining order if you wanted. At minimum, I recommend sending a cease and desist letter. It puts them on notice that further contact will result in legal action. I don't want drama. I just want them to stop. Then we send the letter. If they continue after that, we file for a protective order." She drafted a formal cease and desist letter outlining every incident: the false medical emergency claims, the workplace contact, the police misuse, demanding they cease all direct and indirect contact. We sent it certified mail. My mom's reaction, according to Autumn, who still had minimal contact, was explosive. How dare she legally threaten us? We're her parents. My dad went quiet, finally realizing this was serious. Derek texted me. "A cease and desist? You've really gone too far." But it worked. The direct contact stopped. No more texts from unknown numbers. No more workplace ambushes. No more false police calls. However, the smear campaign continued through others. I started seeing the toll it was taking. I was losing weight, not sleeping well, constantly anxious, waiting for the next attack. My friends noticed. Riley said gently, "They're still controlling you even without contact. You're living in fear of what they'll do next." My therapist said the same thing. "They want you in constant fear. That's the control. You've taken away direct access, so they're trying to maintain power through unpredictability." I realized I couldn't stay on defense forever. I needed to go on offense, not to hurt them, but to take back complete control of my narrative and my life. The question was, what does victory look like when the people trying to destroy you raised you? I spent a week planning my counterattack. Not revenge, clarity, truth, documentation. I was done being reactive. It was time to be strategic. Step 1. I created a comprehensive Google document with the full timeline of events. Every instance of childhood neglect with specific dates and details. Every text message screenshot. Every email. The public records of the timeshare purchase. Bridget's screenshots. The false medical emergency claims. The harassment at work. The false police call. Everything in chronological order with evidence attached. I shared it with a carefully selected group. Aunt Patricia, Autumn, Bridget, Uncle Jerome, and Sarah. Derek's girlfriend who'd been sympathetic. The people who actually cared about truth. The responses came quickly. Aunt Patricia, this is comprehensive and damning. Your mother's pattern is undeniable. Uncle Jerome, this is exactly what she did to me 15 years ago. You're handling it better than I did. Bridget, I had no idea it was this extensive. I'm so sorry. Sarah, I'm showing this to Derek. He needs to see the full picture. Step 2. I wrote an email to extended family members who mattered to me. Not everyone, just the ones who'd shown genuine care over the years. The tone was factual, not angry. I want to address the rumors about me being a selfish daughter who abandoned her parents. I'm attaching a document with the full timeline and evidence. I'm not asking you to choose sides. I'm just asking you to know the truth. My parents demanded $39,000 based on Instagram photos, lied about a medical emergency, and launched a harassment campaign when I refused. Here's the proof. I sent it to 10 people. All of them people I actually had relationships with, not flying monkeys. The responses shocked me with their support. Aunt Diane, who'd been neutral before, I always wondered why you weren't at family events. Now I understand. I'm so sorry, Uncle Carl. Your dad called me last year with a similar story about needing $5,000 for a roof emergency. I gave it to him. After seeing this, I feel used. Cousin Bethany. They borrowed $8,000 from me 3 years ago for what they said was a medical emergency. Never paid it back. Uncle Carl started a group chat with other family members who'd loaned my parents money. They compared notes. The pattern emerged clearly. My parents had borrowed from 5 different family members over 3 years. $5,000 from Carl for roof repair, $8,000 from Bethany for medical emergency, $3,000 from Aunt Diane for car accident, $12,000 from Uncle Frank for tax debt, $7,000 from grandmother for insurance deductible. Total, $35,000. None of it paid back. All of it lies. That timeshare suddenly made perfect sense. They'd funded it with family loans they never intended to repay. Uncle Carl confronted them at Sunday dinner. Autumn reported back the whole scene. Carl slammed his hand on the table. You told me you needed $5,000 for emergency roof repair 2 years ago. My dad stammered something incoherent. Carl continued, Your roof is fine. I drove by last week and looked. Where's my money? My mom tried to deflect. Family doesn't keep score. Aunt Diane jumped in. You told me you needed $3,000 for Mom's medical bills. Mom's insurance covered everything. Where's my money? The table went silent. Other family members started looking at my parents differently. Derek, who was there, finally spoke up. Did you really lie about Dad's medical emergency to get money from Hazel? My mom snapped. We were desperate. The timeshare cost more than we expected. So you lied and tried to manipulate Hazel? Derek pressed. She should want to help family, my dad yelled. Derek went quiet. According to Autumn, he didn't speak for the rest of the dinner. That evening, Derek called me. First time we'd spoken in months. I saw the document Sarah showed me. I talked to Uncle Carl. I confronted Mom and Dad at dinner. His voice was different, humbled. I didn't know they lied about the medical emergency. That's really messed up. There was no emergency, Derek. Just buyer's remorse on a luxury purchase. I'm starting to see that. And Sarah made me think about other things too. Your graduation. The way they treated you growing up. I was so focused on being their golden child that I didn't see how invisible they made you. I appreciate you saying that. But Hazel, they're also constantly comparing me to you now. Saying things like, why can't you be as successful as Hazel despite everything we invested in you? They use me to hurt you and you to hurt me. That's the game, Derek. Divide and conquer. Keep us competing instead of connecting. He was quiet for a long time. I don't know if I'm ready to set boundaries like you did. Then we can't have a real relationship. I need you to stand up to them too, not just acknowledge the problem. I need time. Take your time. But I can't have you in my life if you're still their messenger. We hung up. I didn't know if Derek would ever get there, but at least he was starting to see. Meanwhile, the professional consequences for my parents kept mounting. Christine at my work had reported my mom's LinkedIn harassment to HR. They documented it as a security concern. LinkedIn flagged my mom's account for harassment. She was furious, posted on Facebook about censorship and being punished for being a concerned mother. People who knew the truth started commenting, maybe don't harass people's employers? The post got ratioed so badly she deleted it. Sunday dinners at my grandmother's house saw declining attendance. The family members who'd been lied to stopped coming. Their church community apparently got wind of the situation through someone, probably Aunt Patricia. Their social circle was shrinking. They blamed me for turning the family against them. They couldn't see that they'd done it to themselves. The power had shifted. They'd lost control of the narrative once evidence emerged. Their weapon had been manipulation and emotion. My weapon was truth and documentation. Facts don't care about guilt trips. In therapy, I processed the sadness of it all. How do you feel about the outcome? My therapist asked. I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, I feel sad. Why sad? Because I wanted them to love me. Not need me. Not use me. Love me. Just as I am. And now you know they may not be capable of that. Yeah. They see me as a resource, not a person. The condo photos didn't make them see me. They made them see something they could use. My therapist nodded. That's grief. You're grieving the parents you deserved but never had. But I'm also relieved. I know the truth now. I'm not crazy. I'm not ungrateful. I'm not selfish. They really are toxic. Both things can be true. Grief and relief. I decided to update all my legal documents. Emergency contacts, beneficiaries, medical power of attorney. I removed my parents from every single one and replaced them with Autumn and Riley. It was symbolic and practical. They would have no role in my life, officially. It felt like freedom. 3 months after I'd sent the cease and desist, they made one final attempt. I was working from home when my Ring camera alerted me to someone at my building entrance. I checked the video. My parents. They'd somehow gotten past the doorman, probably by lying. I watched them knock on my door for 10 minutes straight. I didn't answer. Eventually they gave up and left. But taped to my door was an envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter from my mother. I recognized her loopy handwriting immediately. The letter tried for apologetic, but landed on self-focused. Dear Hazel, we've had time to reflect on what happened, and we realize we hurt you. We were desperate and we handled things badly. But we're your parents, and we love you. Family makes mistakes, but family also forgives. We're willing to forget the past if you are. We'd like to start fresh. Please call us. Love, Mom and Dad. I read it 3 times, analyzing every word. We realize we hurt you without specifying how. We were desperate without explaining for what. Family makes mistakes minimizing what they'd done. We're willing to forget the past as if it was that simple. Notably missing: admission of lying about the medical emergency, acknowledgement of the pattern of neglect, any plan to change their behavior, or genuine accountability. It was a non-apology. A rug-sweeping attempt. I consulted my therapist before responding. What do you want from this response? Clarity. Boundary enforcement. Finality. I decided to respond via certified letter, maintaining the paper trail. I wrote, "Thank you for your letter. I appreciate the effort. However, I notice what's missing: specific accountability. You say you were desperate. Desperate for what? A luxury timeshare? You had $85,000 in savings. You say family makes mistakes. Mistakes are accidents. You deliberately lied about a medical emergency, manipulated extended family for money, showed up at my workplace, and called a false wellness check on me. Which of these specific actions are you apologizing for? You say forget the past. The past includes missing my graduation, forgetting my birthday, dismissing my achievements, and ignoring my existence for 4 years until you wanted money. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for genuine accountability and changed behavior. Until I see evidence of both, my boundaries remain. No contact. I sent it certified mail and waited. According to Autumn, my mom was enraged. My dad looked defeated. Derek told them, "I warned you she wouldn't accept that weak apology." My parents snapped at him. "Whose side are you on?" Derek responded, "I'm not on sides. I'm on truth." That was growth. Real growth from Derek. 2 weeks later, my grandmother called Aunt Patricia with a request. She wanted to host a reconciliation dinner, and she wanted me there. Patricia called to ask if I'd attend. "What are the terms?" I asked. She says it's just family dinner to talk things out. "I'll come if it's at a public restaurant. Autumn, and you are also there. And we set a time limit. 2 hours maximum." I'll tell her. The dinner was set for the following Saturday at a neutral restaurant downtown. When I arrived, I found my grandmother, my parents, Derek, Autumn, and Aunt Patricia already seated. My grandmother started, "Family is family. It's time to move past all this." I sat down calmly. "I agree, family is important. That's why honesty matters." My mom bristled but stayed quiet. "What do you need to hear?" my grandmother asked me. "The truth. Why did you really need $39,000? Silence around the table. Derek spoke up. "They bought a timeshare that cost more than expected. We all know this now." My mom turned on him. "Traitor." "No," Derek said firmly. "Truth teller, there's a difference." I looked at my parents. "Why did you lie about a medical emergency?" My dad finally spoke, his voice tired. "Because we knew you wouldn't help with the timeshare." "You're right. I wouldn't. Because that's not an emergency, and I don't owe you luxury purchases." My mom couldn't stay quiet anymore. "After everything we've done for you." I pulled out my phone and opened my notes app. Let's review. My graduation you missed for Derek's moving day. My birthday you forgot for Derek's girlfriend's party. My scholarship you didn't celebrate. My college visits you didn't attend. My achievements you dismissed as expected. Which of these am I supposed to be grateful for? We fed you, clothed you, kept a roof over your head. That's what parents do. That's the bare minimum legal requirement, I said calmly. Not something to hold over someone for life. How dare you? How dare you show up after 4 years of silence only when you wanted money based on Instagram photos? My dad interjected. We tried to reach out before that. I pulled out my phone records. I have 4 years of call logs. 0 calls from either of you. Want to see? He went quiet, caught in another lie. Derek stood up. He addressed our parents directly. I need to say something. You spent my whole life telling me I was special, the golden child, your pride and joy. But you never let me fail, never let me struggle. You made me feel entitled and helpless at the same time. He turned to me. You ignored Hazel, which was cruel, but it forced her to become independent, strong, successful. The irony is, your neglect created the person you now resent. Back to our parents. I'm not defending what you did to her, but I'm also done being your trophy. I'm setting boundaries too. My mother started crying. My children hate me. Autumn spoke up. We don't hate you. We want you to be honest and respect our boundaries. I gave you everything. You gave us what you decided we needed, Autumn countered, not what we actually needed. This is all Hazel's fault. She poisoned you against me. No, I said quietly. Your actions did that. I just told the truth. My grandmother, who'd been watching silently, finally spoke. I raised you better than this. She was looking at my mom. You lied to family. You manipulated people. You borrowed money with no intention of paying it back. This isn't how I taught you to behave. My mom looked shocked. But Mom, Hazel has been more than patient. She's offered reasonable terms. Apologize genuinely or accept the distance. My parents stood up. My mom's face was red. I won't be attacked by my own family. My dad added quietly, We're leaving. They walked out of the restaurant. They chose pride over relationship. Everyone at the table sat in sad silence. Are you okay? Autumn asked me. Yeah, I am. I gave them the chance. They chose this. Derek said. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. You see it now. That matters. After my parents left, we stayed at the restaurant for another hour. The chosen family. Autumn, Derek cautiously rebuilding, Aunt Patricia, and my grandmother who'd finally seen the truth clearly. We ordered dessert and coffee. We laughed and shared stories. We supported each other. I felt more family connection in that hour than I'd felt in 28 years. 6 months passed. I woke up one Saturday morning to sunlight streaming through the floor to ceiling windows of my condo, the same space that had inadvertently started this whole war. I made coffee and opened my laptop to find an email from my dad. Just my dad, not my mom. The subject line was simple. I'm sorry. I almost deleted it, but something made me open it. The email was different from my mom's letter. Shorter, more direct, less manipulative. Hazel, I was wrong. Not about everything, but about how we treated you. Your mother isn't ready to admit any of this. I'm not sure she'll ever be. But I wanted you to know that I see it now. I see how invisible we made you. I see how we took you for granted. I see how we only reached out when we wanted something. You deserved better. Your success has nothing to do with us. You did it despite us, not because of us. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect anything. But I wanted you to acknowledge the truth. I'm sorry, Dad. I sat there for 20 minutes just staring at the email. Was this genuine? Did it matter? What did I want? I talked to my therapist. I talked to Riley. I journaled for hours. Finally, I decided to respond. Thank you for acknowledging the truth. That matters more than you know. I don't know what kind of relationship we can have going forward, but honesty is the foundation. I'm willing to meet for coffee. Just us. No ambush. No agenda. Just honest conversation. Let me know if you're interested. He responded within an hour. I'd like that. 2 weeks later, I met my dad at a neutral coffee shop downtown. He looked older than I remembered, tired. We sat across from each other in uncomfortable silence for a moment. Then he spoke. Your mother and I have very different views on parenting. She believed in focusing on whoever needed the most attention at the moment. Derek was social and seemed to need guidance. Autumn was sensitive and needed constant support. You were independent and seemed fine handling everything yourself. Dad, fine doesn't mean not hurting. I was fine because I had to be, because no one was paying attention. I know that now. I convinced myself you didn't need us. Truth is, I didn't know how to relate to you. You were smarter than me by the time you were 14. I felt inadequate. So you just ignored me? I focused on Derek where I felt useful, and I let your mother manage you, which meant basically ignoring you. I'm ashamed of that. I took a breath. I appreciate your honesty. But those are still excuses. You felt inadequate, so you abandoned me emotionally? That's not parenting. You're right. I don't have an excuse for missing your graduation, for forgetting your birthday, for dismissing your accomplishments. I failed you. He had tears in his eyes, real tears. What do you want from a relationship with me? I asked. I don't know. I can't undo the past. But maybe I don't have to lose the future? What does that look like? Maybe occasional coffee like this? Honesty when we talk? Me not making excuses? I thought about it. I can do coffee occasionally. But firm boundaries. Mom isn't welcome unless she genuinely apologizes and changes. Derek can only be included if he's continued his growth. No financial discussions ever. No guilt trips. And if you cross these boundaries, I'm done permanently. That's fair. I agree to all of it. We talked for another hour. It wasn't healing. It wasn't closure. But it was honest. And honesty was more than I'd ever gotten from him before. Over the following months, my dad and I had coffee once a month. Sometimes the conversations were stilted. Sometimes they were surprisingly comfortable. He never pushed, never asked about my mom or tried to get me to reconcile with her. He respected the boundaries. Derek's evolution was slower but real. He'd started therapy himself and reached out monthly. He was learning to set boundaries with our parents, too. He shared how they constantly pressured him, compared him to me, made him feel like a disappointment despite being their golden child. They paid for everything but expected perfection, he told me one day. You had freedom I never did. I resented you for it. Now I see your freedom came from being ignored and mine came from being controlled. We were both damaged, just differently. We were building something real, not the sibling relationship we could have had as kids, but an adult friendship based on mutual understanding and truth. Autumn had fully moved out, gotten her own apartment, and started paying our parents back for art school on a payment plan she dictated. She'd told them, "You paid for my education. Was it a gift or a loan? Choose. If it's a loan, here's my payment plan. If it's a gift, stop holding it over me." They'd sputtered and complained, but eventually accepted the payments. Autumn was free. Our family had reconfigured entirely. The new core was me, Autumn, Derek tentatively, Aunt Patricia, Uncle Jerome, and my grandmother who'd apologized for initially defending my mom. We had monthly dinners, actual conversations, mutual support, chosen family. My parents existed on the periphery. Dad and his occasional coffees with me. Mom completely absent by her own choice, still maintaining she'd done nothing wrong. At work, I'd gotten another promotion. Senior manager now. I'd also become a mentor to younger women on my team, making sure they felt seen and valued, breaking the cycle in my own way. I'd started dating someone too. Nolan worked in a different department. He was kind, boundaried, respectful. When he met my chosen family, they'd vetted him thoroughly. Autumn told me later. He looks at you like you're a person, not a trophy. Keep him. I ran into my parents by chance at a grocery store one Saturday. My mom saw me and immediately turned away, pretending not to notice. My dad nodded awkwardly. I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Not longing, just neutral acknowledgement. That was growth. One evening, I hosted dinner at my condo. The condo that had started everything when Bridget posted those photos 18 months ago. My guests were Autumn, Derek, and Sarah, Aunt Patricia, Uncle Jerome, Nolan, and Bridget. We were laughing, sharing food, telling stories. Autumn raised her glass. To chosen family. Everyone echoed it. Derek added, to truth over obligation. I looked around the table at these people who'd chosen to see me, support me, fight for me. I felt full. Complete. Not because my parents had finally accepted me, but because I'd finally accepted that I deserved better. And I'd built it myself. That night, I wrote in my journal, they forgot I existed until I had something they wanted. Then suddenly, I was family. But family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who sees you, who stays. The $39,000 demand was never really about money. It was about power, about keeping me in the role they'd assigned, the invisible, self-sufficient one who doesn't need anything until they need something from her. I said no, not just to the money, to the role, to the invisibility, to the hierarchy that put me at the bottom while pretending it was love. Dad's trying now, that's something. Derek's growing, that's more. Mom's still in denial, that's her choice. But I have Autumn, I have my chosen family, I have Nolan, and most importantly, I have myself, the girl who graduated alone, who built a life alone, who learned that alone isn't lonely when you like who you've become. They forgot I existed. It was the best thing they ever did for me, because it forced me to exist on my own terms. The condo isn't just where I live anymore. It's proof that I didn't need them to succeed. I never did. And that freedom is worth more than $39,000. Worth more than their approval. Worth everything. Here's what I want to know from all of you. Have you ever had family members who only remembered you exist when they wanted something? How did you handle it? Did you set boundaries or try to keep the peace? And here's the bigger question. When does protecting yourself from toxic family stop being selfish and start being survival? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I'd love to hear your stories. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to choose peace over toxic family obligation. Subscribe for more real stories about family dynamics, setting boundaries, and choosing yourself when everyone tells you that you're supposed to sacrifice for blood. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for understanding that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. I hope wherever you are in your own family journey, you find the courage to demand the respect you deserve. And remember, family that truly loves you won't make you choose between your well-being and their approval. Take care of yourselves out there.